right, this is my fourth video in the series of summarizing John Gray's book, Mars and Venus in the Bedroom. So you can go back and watch the other three if you like, or just watch this one. So here we're going to be talking about mechanical sex versus spontaneous sex, and how for a woman, variety is so important. A man tends to be very goal-oriented and performance-oriented. And he's like, I know what turns her on. I know exactly what she likes. I know what to do. I'm going to do this every time. But that is not exciting for a woman. A woman wants to not know what's going to happen, and a woman needs a lot of novelty. Yes. To a woman, predictability is a turn-off. So to help men understand this, he gives the analogy of baseball. When a man watches a baseball game, it is the anticipation of what will happen that makes it more exciting. Who will get on base? Will the ball be caught? Who will strike out? Who will score and who will win? Each time a player gets on base, he feels increasing excitement and tension. No matter how exciting a game is the first time, if you watch a recording of the exact same game over and over, it will become predictable and boring. In a similar way, when a man follows the same formula in sex, it becomes boring and predictable to his partner. Sometimes a man will find a formula that works in sex and change it by making it more efficient. Instead of taking the time for foreplay, he skips ahead to intercourse. This is like tuning into the sports report to find out who won instead of watching the game itself. Watching the entire game makes the conclusion much more exciting. It is not just the scoring that makes the woman happy, but the build-up as well. I love that. He spends a little bit of time talking about foreplay, and he reminds a man to remember that it is not what he does, but how long he takes to do it, that ensures a woman's fulfillment. And in order to assist a man in this, it's so important for the woman to keep giving her partner feedback. I know that sometimes a woman can be really quiet while she's tuning into her own pleasure. And at those times, it's great to tell a man, I know I'm really quiet, but I really like this. With a little reassuring comment from her, a man can keep going without worry that he is doing the wrong things. Now, because women tend to be more in the flow and have different moods at different times, if a man can change things up and even have a bunch of different formulas that he switches in and out, it allows her to feel more what she is feeling that day instead of having to respond to a pat formula. It puts her more in tune with what she's feeling and just enlivens and builds and magnifies like her sexual arousal and passion. The sexual act for a woman is a process of discovering what feels good that day. Guys, this is what makes women so fun. You get to like see what we like that day. She does not want her partner to follow any premeditated, rigid plan. Yes. She wants her partner to know that each time her mood may be different. She wants him to know how to discover with her what she wants. She wants him to be sensitive to her feedback that will assist him in leading her to higher states of fulfillment and pleasure. So, that it is a lot to ask of a man, right? This is where good communication comes in, and the woman giving responses to what she likes. And it's just like this dance. So I totally feel this, following his lead. When the man can take the lead in sex, he frees his partner to think less and feel more. Totally. I know that I get so much more turned on when a man is leading and I can just surrender to his touch. I don't have to think about what's going to happen next. Sometimes I can just not even move that much and just take in, let myself be taken and surrender to being taken. And I know the man can feel that I'm more turned on. He can hear that I'm more turned on. And I love it when the man takes the lead the majority of the time. Then I'm really in my feminine receptive energy. So he's encouraging men to take the lead and to feel, so that she can relax and stop thinking about what should happen and just open up to the current of her mood for that day. And so that really requires a man to be kind of like empathetic and kind of tuned in to her response. It's also good for people to talk about sex, not while they're having it, but to hear some ideas for questions, you know. Would you like more sex? Did you like when I did this, this, and this? What do you like about having sex with me? Is there a new way you would like me to touch you? If yes, would you show me? Is there something I used to do that you would like me to do more of? Would you like less time in foreplay sometimes? Would you like more time in foreplay sometimes? So these are like really great questions to ask. Next chapter, passionate monogamy. I don't have a specific view on monogamy or not monogamy, so I'm going to summarize again. This is just me summarizing his book. And here are the advantages of monogamy for women. There are definite advantages to women when they know that there's like a safe container, that sex will only be between them. Usually, and for most women, there are women that could be polyamorous or bisexual or, you know, I'm not saying everyone has to be monogamous, but when in a monogamous relationship ensures that a woman continues to feel special and loved. If she's not feeling loved in this way, she cannot continue to open herself to him. Trust is essential for a woman to continue getting turned on to her partner. It is easy for a man to be turned on to a woman he is attracted to. It is not so automatic to keep that attraction. It is not enough for a man to love a woman. He needs to feel that she's attracted to him, that she's open to him, and that he can make her happy. And monogamy does all those things for a woman. John Gray also talks about how he often gets a hard-on looking at another woman, and then he just thinks, hey, I'm glad everything is working down there. Home, James. And then he goes home and has sex with his wife. That he is really a big believer in monogamy. And as a man writing about sex and doing seminars and traveling a lot and having written so many books, he has been sexually approached by many women, had many opportunities, and has turned them down, because what was most important to him was his marriage and having a good sex life with his wife, not scoring with a bunch of women. So I find that very interesting. Now, this is something new. I learned that when a woman is able to surrender and fully receive a man, he can easily maintain control while feeling increasing passion, like he won't come too soon. If, however, she tries to take control and start turning him on, she can unknowingly push him out of control or turn him off, causing him to have an orgasm before he is ready. When her sexual reactions are a response to him, rather than an attempt to arouse him, he can grow in controlled passion. But when her responses are not genuine reactions to a skillful touch, he doesn't feel the growth of his passion, may suddenly lose control. He either gets too excited or he gets turned off. So I just like this book for some of these deeper insights that it gives us. The next chapter is about sexual anatomy, that a man should know sexual anatomy, should know about the clitoris. I think there's a really great book for that, which is Women's Anatomy of Arousal by Sherry Winston. This chapter is really short, so I'm not going to say really anything else about it here. The next chapter is on romance. When a man is romantic with a woman, brings her flowers or takes her on dates, it makes her feel loved and special. It reminds her that she's special, and it brings her back in touch with her feminine, desirous side. It brings her back in touch with her sensuality, especially if she's a busy woman that's working or taking care of others. It just reminds her, again, of being a woman and feeling her natural desire. Definitely true. Another important thing for romance is a man listening to a woman talk. Talking is a great need that women have. I know that I have that need. My ex-husband used to say, I love listening to you talk. So it's true. I do believe that men do enjoy listening to women talk. As long as we're talking, like not complaining about them or nagging or complaining, but just sharing our day, sharing our feelings, sharing our views. It helps us relax. It makes men feel really needed, that they were the ones that listened to us talk. But when a man is untrained in the skills of listening to and understanding a woman, or when the woman resists sharing the feelings that naturally come up, she eventually feels unheard and is turned off. She generally doesn't even know what happened. Even cut flowers lose their potency if a woman doesn't feel heard on a daily basis. So I'm going to come back to that again. A woman who is rejected for her feelings, like she can't express her feelings, is like a man who is rejected for wanting sex, and they will close down, they will shut down, and it will just be like a dead relationship after that. People will just close down. He talks about little rituals in the book, and one is ordering for her. I absolutely love this. I love when I go out to eat and the man I'm with, even if it's one of my sons, or it doesn't have to be a romantic situation. I taught my sons to order for women, but if it's a man on a date and he's ordering for me, I feel so accepted. I feel so loved and taken care of, and I'm like, ooh, I just get a little turned on, that this man can take care of me by ordering for me. I just like it. I know it just seems like such a little thing, but you can see from the smile on my face, like it just so makes my day. A way that the woman can keep the romance alive is by really appreciating her man, and that's something I didn't do enough when I was married. And, you know, when at the restaurant, just make a big fuss, you know, about the menu or the lights and what you like. And he says if a woman says, I love this menu, the man will feel like he made the menu. He'll feel like a hero. Or if she says, oh my God, I just love this food, he will feel like he created the restaurant and made the food. He'll feel like such a hero. And so it's so nourishing to a man's heart when we appreciate the things that they do for us. And again, the more that a man feels nourished, the more he's going to feel happy in his life and happy in the relationship, and will be a better person to, you know, to be around. This creates a lot of romance for the woman to appreciate things, appreciate where he takes her, appreciate what he does, appreciate the surroundings where they are. If he took her there, he's going to feel like a hero for every little thing in the restaurant. That's something too I learned from this book. Here's a good one. You focus on the good. So say a couple goes to a movie, and say the woman hated the movie, like it was some very violent movie. And he says, did you like the movie? So she needs to focus on the positive and look for something that was good or that she appreciated. Like if I was out with one of my girlfriends, I would have been like, that movie really sucked. I don't like violent movies. But that's not the way to talk to a man. The way to talk to a man would be to say something like, if she didn't like the movie, she can pause and say something like, I really like that sunset scene. And he kind of gets the hint she doesn't like the movie. Or she could say, I don't think I've ever seen a movie like that. Or she could say, I just enjoyed being with you. And now, when I first read that, a few months ago when I read this book. I found that interesting, and I realized that I tend to be blunt and focus on what I didn't like. I would have just said, I don't like that movie. And it just put me back in touch with how awesome it is to just focus on the positive things in life. Just focus on the good things, you know? Now, a question that someone might have is, isn't it better to just be honest and say I didn't like the movie? So John Gray answered this question to a woman who asked him at one of his seminars, and he said, I can understand your frustration, but let me, to help you better understand the situation, let me ask you a question. She smiled and nodded her head. John Gray said, what should a man say when his wife is getting dressed and looking into the mirror and says, do you think I'm getting fat? The woman immediately began to laugh and said she got the message. In short, when it comes to romance, there are just some things better left unsaid, particularly at sensitive moments. Okay? A man might think, why do I have to keep bringing her flowers or opening the doors for her? And a woman might think, why do I have to keep acknowledging the things he does? Because they just make the relationship better. Now, for a woman to feel romance, she needs to feel a man's energy being spent and exerted directly for her. Absolutely. And here's a little story about a couple that he was counseling that had a ritual around building fires. So the man thought he would just install a wood-burning fireplace in his home that he could just turn on with a switch. And the woman didn't like that. She was not into those high-tech fireplaces. She said, I could see why you want that. And then she said, but something very special inside of me happens when you build me a fire. It is very primal. And I know that because I like it when a man builds me a campfire or takes me into the woods and takes care of me in those primal ways. When he does those things for me himself, it would be like him picking the flowers versus him buying the flowers, or, you know, when he's gone to the trouble of doing something. And in the same way that I appreciate when a man gives me money, because to me, money is something very valuable to a man, and so is his time. A man's time, a man's attention, and a man's money are very valuable to him. So when he gives me any of those, I feel very appreciated, because he's giving me something of himself, of his own energy and his own presence. When he gives me his presence too, by really focusing on me, I love all that. As I do when he builds me a fire. It's so primal. Finally, women, we want attention from men. I personally, and I think most women, we want attention from the men we want it from, and we like to get attention from men that we like, but not from men we don't like. So in a relationship, it's so important, guys, that you keep complimenting your woman and saying things like this. These are some examples John Gray gives. Fabulous, fabulous. I love the way you look tonight. I love how you look in that dress. Your earrings are really great. I love your legs. You look so exquisite. Don't hesitate to add lots of embellishments like, you are really beautiful, very beautiful, or so beautiful. And also the power of touch, and this is a biggie for me. A woman doesn't feel loved if the only time a man wants to touch her is when he wants sex. That's when it feels super gropey. It's so important for a man to touch a woman when he doesn't want sex. You know, holding her hand, a hand on her lower back as he's guiding her as they're walking. Like, don't walk ahead of your woman, guys. You know, kind of guide her. If you're sitting down to eat at a restaurant, put your hand on her lower back, kind of guide her a little bit. Put your arm around her shoulder. You know, we like to be touched, and we like to be touched by the men that we like. I think this is so important. If the only time he touches her is when he wants sex, she begins to feel used or taken for granted. Absolutely. Absolutely. A guy wouldn't care, probably. And that is the end of the book. I'm so glad I finally got through this, you guys. Because sometimes I'll start these things, I'm going to do a book thing, and I don't ever do it. I'm like, I am bound and determined. So I got through this whole book today. And hopefully I'll sustain the interest to do it with some of these other books. But I think John Gray has done a lot to further the cause of understanding the differences between men and women. I've also been listening to more podcasts by more like anti-feminists. A lot of the feminists, I think, have destroyed relationships by setting the cultural message that women are like men. We can hook up like men. We can be in the workplace like men. We are like men. We can do everything men can do. And the only differences between us is that, you know, we have children and they don't. But otherwise we're the same, and that just isn't true. As you could see from this entire book about sex, we're very different when it comes to arousal, sexual attraction. And then also later on in life, we're very different when it comes to children. You know, when a couple has a child, the man usually feels like more of a onus on him to go out and provide for his new family. He wants to provide and take care of his family by going to work. And the woman usually just doesn't. She wants to stay somewhat connected and close to her baby. She doesn't want to take her baby to daycare, or if she works, she either doesn't want to work or she wants to work part-time. It's harder for a woman to have sex when her baby's around. She hears her baby at many decibels louder than anybody else. The baby starts to cry, her milk starts to open, her oxytocin is increased. Like, we are of equal value, and we're different. We're very different. I have ordered a bunch of books related to this whole feminist movement, which I'll get into in another video. But these set of 4 today were talking about sex, which is a topic of great interest to me. And I want to say that when I was married, I wish I would have been with someone who would have liked to do all this and read all this. But I can tell you that I can totally relate to all these things. And I really agree with what he's saying about sex with men and women. I would love to hear your comments. And thank you for watching my video.